Hey everybody, I am trying to go live. Okay, it is panel talk, and we have no one has come in yet. Links have all been sent. So, hey Diane, welcome back. Shadow is in the room. Shadow will be here soon. Um, Let me explain again tonight's show. The reason I'm doing it tonight, first, sound check, please. Let me know if everybody can hear me because I never know if this stuff is going to work. Let me get a sound check, please. Sound check. Hey, Bronklander. Um, I think I remember you from one of the other shows. Welcome back. Okay. Sound is good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will take that banner down and get back to looking at comments. All right. Sound check is good. Thanks, everybody. Okay. The reason I'm doing tonight's show is because I have a social event tomorrow and then I have to work on Saturday. So it was tonight or nothing. So not sorry for the surprise show, but here we are. And how quantum can you get other than a random live stream? So, and here comes Lynn coming back to our panel discussion. Hey, Lynn,
Hi, how you doing tonight?
I am doing much better than yesterday. Let me tell you. um, but yeah, so, did you hear me talking about why I'm doing a show tonight and not Saturday?
Um, Something about work?
Yeah, I got to work on Saturday and I've got a social function, a birthday party I can't not go to tomorrow.
Well, we
So,
all have our obligations.
yeah. So it was tonight or nothing. And I figured, how more random can I get?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Don't ask that question. It could jinx you, but good.
Mm, yeah, the quantum says, this is what you're going to be doing. And I'm like, yes, sir, ma'am, quantum. I am going to do
Yes, sir, ma'am.
this. Whatever
Okay.
works. Yeah, and earlier on the show, I was talking about the non-human sightings that I've had,
Right.
and I touched on the hybrid project. I never got to talk about it. I figured we could talk about that now
Okay.
because there seems to be some kind of big implanting going on here where you know about the star seeds, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you know the star seeds are souls coming from out there, from other places to here to have the human experience and to also bring
Mhm.
us up. Well, the
Right.
hybridization project is the physical part of that. And I'm not going to say it's one or the other, but it seems to be that there are hybrids walking around here. Okay, we got hybrids and people watching us, and some of them don't even realize they're doing a job.
Well, why don't we quantify what a hybrid is? And that
Okay,
way our listeners know precisely what we're talking about.
okay. Hybrid program is an extraterrestrial program to kind of bring the Earth up to speed to Federation standard, I suppose you could say.
And tweak us, so to speak.
Right. By bringing the
Uh,
population to having its own uh our bring our powers back, right? And to give
okay.
us our natural stuff, but there's just kind of like selective breeding where you're trying to get like how did they come up with a Doberman? How did they come up with a Rottweiler? It's how did they come up with a Schnauzer, whatever, right? Selective,
Shih Tzu.
right? And they're injecting the bloodlines, not the ancient bloodlines. They're injecting features into us and hoping we grow into it, and it's working because we have had more weird experiences, people reporting weird experiences, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts in the past 30, 40 years than I don't know if it's more, but it seems like the quality of people has changed. Now we're getting
Well,
all these. You look
I,
at people and they look like aliens. Okay, they just start looking like aliens.
well, I think it would pay to understand too that our level of communication has increased tremendously. When I was
Hmm.
a kid, you didn't talk about paranormal uh,
Hmm.
occurrences. You didn't talk about UFOs, and you sure as heck didn't talk about being taken by one. It wasn't
Right.
done. And it wasn't done for a number of reasons. You got to understand the culture of that time. We
Hmm.
were just coming out of the McCarthy era, which had basically turned everything into a witch hunt of one form or another,
Yep.
blaming communists for everything from bad breath to body odor. And that's not to say that I have sympathy that way, because I don't. But that's what was occurring at that time.
Hmm.
The problem with some of that too, we've got to realize that we were just starting to realize about astrology. We were starting to realize about ghosts and things like that. I mean, there was not the plethora of things that, or plethora rather, of things that to read that there are today. There wasn't any such animal as YouTube.
Right.
Shucks, you got all of your news from a local newspaper. And that newspaper could lead any direction. It was usually Republican or Democrat, but there was the
Hmm.
occasional independent. And oh, it was scandalous. So when you
Hmm.
realize that our culture has changed, now it is acceptable to to acknowledge uh, your higher self. It's acceptable to for a man to look at himself and say, maybe I could be a little softer about some things.
Hmm.
And it's okay for women to look at herself and say, maybe I can be just a bit tougher, you know.
Right.
So, we're having what you're calling hybridization has been going on subtly for about 60 years.
Hmm.
That's in my recollection. And
Right.
when you put all of those things together and you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, what has really changed? The acceptance of the LGBTQ
Hmm.
uh, movement and those people involved within it as being not only normal but perfectly all right. This wasn't done when I was a kid, not at all. And yet now, to be non-binary or to be bisexual or to be no sex, perfectly okay.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's
very
something we need to get into, right? That's something we need to get into is the
uh,
sexuality of the people. Okay.
sexuality has always been this way. It always has. This is not a new phenomena. What's
Right.
new is our ability to accept others for who they are. And it's a
Right.
wonderful thing.
Just like everything, it has limits to getting along in society. Just
Sure.
like everything. Just like everything. I mean, you I like the color blue, but I'm not going to insist everybody like the color blue, right? I'm not going to be upset when somebody's in a red car and not a blue car.
Well, the only
Or
time that I look at a car for color is it's one of it's a lime green, and I'm sitting there thinking someone needs their ass removed for
right.
that color.
Well, that was just an example. Just
No,
an
but I'm
example.
saying this is how intense an reaction can be.
Yeah.
You know. Now, why do I dislike the color green? I don't necessarily. It's a shade. I don't like lime green. The reason I don't like lime green is because I was forced to eat lime jello for 6 months in a damned hospital. And by the time I was done, a doctor got to wear that damn shit. Okay? That's why I hate lime green.
Right.
Now, this is complicated as hell, and yet not as complicated as somebody else's feelings about different culture tweaks,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
So you know, our people haven't changed all that much. They really haven't. What has changed is our ability to look at the thing in a open-minded way, or at least a closed mouth way, and allow others to do their own thing. And we didn't have
Right.
that before. That never existed on this planet.
I will concur with that. That we have the ability to tolerate, but
Hmm.
there are still some of those that I've got a friend who lives south of here, like
Hmm.
Arkansas, and I don't have permission, so I'm not going to say any names, but he lives in Arkansas,
Of course.
and he's gay. He lives with his husband, and he doesn't go out preaching and beating people over the head with it.
Most
He just
people
wants to
don't.
live and let live, right?
Sure. Hmm.
And I completely agree with that. And I know people who are, um, I know all the spectrum of people, all the LGBTQ, whatever they
Hmm.
call it, right?
It's
I
quite
know
a
all of them.
wide variety of people too.
Yeah. And so many people want to fight about it. And the people, not the people I know,
Yeah.
let people be themselves. Let them live their best life, is what I say about that. And it's
Well,
when,
and then that's how I feel too. Very
yeah,
much.
and it seems that it's when uh here we go in the public policy of it. Yeah, I didn't really want to go down this road right at the moment, but here we are. um when the public policy comes along, that's when there are questions and conflicts,
Oh
and
yeah,
you sometimes have conflicts of interest. Well, we have to figure it out, right? Because I do believe that we need to have a structure to society that isn't fighting all the time,
I agree.
whatever
You
that
know,
structure ends up being.
we have come a terrific amount of miles just in the last 50 years. In the last 100, my own
Mhm.
grandmother saw both world wars. She also saw the beginnings of car travel, air
Mhm.
travel. She and I had a wonderful conversation one afternoon about this thing. And she's when I was a kiddo, you 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 harnessed up your horses, you made sure they had food and water along, and the longest you would travel anywhere in a day might be 20 miles. Might
Mhm.
be, and probably wasn't gonna be.
Right.
And your friends and family all lived within 20-mile radius of each other. She goes, now I can hop on the bus, be quarter of the way across the country, and visit my son who lives 4 states away. She
Mm-hmm.
goes, "It's amazing." And I said, "Well, how do you feel about the bus ride?" She says, "It's wonderful." I guess in comparison to a buckboard, I reckon she's right. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've been on a buckboard. I know how daggone nasty that can be. And it's the timing of our lives. Most of technology has occurred in the last 145 to 50 years. All of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
200
Oh,
years ago, we had the French Revolution and heads rolled. We wouldn't think of
yeah,
doing such a thing today. We don't mind killing each other en masse, but we wouldn't do that,
right.
you know.
Bronklander brings up what I was trying to say is we need a structure of society, whatever that structure is. He says what people don't realize, especially some of the LGBTQ people, is that the use of pronouns and forcing others to define things in certain ways is actually the weaponization of ideological differences.
Of
I
course,
agree with that.
right?
It's causing divisions, and the
Yeah.
divisions don't help us. We need to all come together.
And I don't believe it helps them very well either.
It doesn't. It just
It
people. Yeah, it
although
doesn't matter the
I
topic. If
I
you go out,
have this situation up close and personal here,
yeah.
and
It, mhm.
yeah, it is just uh, it's one tool, and how one person uses it as compared to another.
Right.
But it's really difficult when a group of people is trying to make themselves heard and define themselves. You know,
Hmm.
it truly is. Whether it's this group or say the German people during the end of the World War or during
Hmm.
it, or the Japanese for that matter. And what
Yeah.
did we do about that? We socked them into concentration camps.
Hmm.
This country did that.
Yeah. It's
This country is attempting to do the same thing with a number of other groups of people.
yeah.
So, we've got a very volatile situation.
Hmm. Um, Shadow is asking what? No mention of BPA's. Do you mean Am I missing something here?
BPAs.
BPA's? Is that like in the plastics that we use?
And
Talking about plastic?
maybe it is. I mean, we can go a long way with all of this and still come away with nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe let's skip this and get back to your original premise for this show.
Yeah, because that is another show. That is a
Oh
total
boy,
nother
is
show.
it!
Um,
And boy, is it! Let's just light the fuse and watch.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Shadow mentioned earlier, and we jumped the rails again. Let me see this.
I didn't see it.
I okay. Meant to be our jailers? No, not meant to be our jailers.
Who?
It seems that when I said the hybrid program,
Ah,
the
yes.
physical breeding program, okay, not to be jailers, not to be our enemies, but to become part of the population, to bring us all a higher vibration, because those guys, they have that higher vibration built in. The muggles don't, and that's what I'm talking about. Not to become
I
our
see.
jailers. We already have our jailers. Our
Because we hold
jailers are
ourselves
already
down
here.
we hold ourselves back quite well, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like
and
crabs in
we
a
we
bucket.
and apparently we elected them and put them in power here in the United States. I don't know how really it works in Europe because I'm not living there. And and no, not to be our jailers, but to elevate us so we can realize we are networkable and we can connect to each other. I see it happening more and more, right? That's one way. The star seeds are doing it a different way. They're doing it from the soul energy level. The hybrid program is doing it from the physical people level, like
Right. From an
breeding.
organic point.
Right, a
Hmm.
more animal husbandry point of view, which is what we can understand that.
Sure, we
Now,
can.
I yeah, a lot of people don't want to think of us as being in a breeding program, but here we are, okay? And even without the weird stuff, we're still doing it. We do it to ourselves, but we don't really have a guide. They're at least trying to give us a guide, and they're both trying to do it to raise our awarenesses. I don't see any bad intention there. And oh, Shadow, that is not what I'm talking about.
No, it's not.
Unauthorized now, I have taken I've seen the stories, but I've been given one report. Let me uplift us through unauthorized impregnation of human females against their will. Not what I'm referring to. If a human did it to another human, they would rot in jail. Why do aliens get a free ride, so to speak? That's a good question. Okay, that's a good question.
No.
And they don't get a free ride. Here is the report that I took. Okay, the report was, and I witnessed this happening. I don't have permission to talk about who, when, where, but it was fairly recently, and I witnessed this happening. The woman became pregnant, and and I'm sure there was not a lot of mating, legitimate mating going on with the husband. So she became pregnant, and maybe a month and a half, a month and a week, all of a sudden she was not pregnant anymore. No sign of it. Okay. Now that is not cool, right?
No, it's not. It's
That's
called
not what I'm talking about. That is the dark side coming in. Now, I'm not saying there are two sides. There are many, many people involved in this, right? And that was one example. She became pregnant, and then within a certain time, she was all of a sudden not pregnant with no trace. There was no trace. There was no physical ailment, and this person had
And then we
been
both understand that miscarriage gives very specific symptoms.
right. There was no bleeding. There was no strange I don't know what the word is. Um I don't know what the word is, but when something comes out, right? There was discharges.
Discharge.
There were no strange discharges. It was just found out she was pregnant. She was like a month in, or a month or 3 weeks in, or something, just enough to detect it. And then tested again later, no trace. There was no trauma that I'm aware of. There was nothing like that. Right now,
Well,
that mhm,
there is such a thing as the body reabsorbing in pregnancy. It does happen.
it does happen, but I'm not
Uh,
sure. This
I
person
had
had,
twins. I had boys who were twins.
mhm,
And one day there wasn't a second heartbeat. When I had the older child, there was no second baby.
right. I
So,
understand it
that
happens.
does happen.
Okay, now this is some of the Shadow is again talking to us about this, right? Some of the things aliens have been doing allegedly is illegal and unforgivable. Until they are brought to justice, I cannot trust non-humans. You can't judge one all by the actions of a few. We all know
Well, I
this.
don't know. Shadow's doing a real good job of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we shouldn't do that, because that's any group. Because yeah, everybody's got their bad apples. And it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we
Well, if we're talking about a terrific amount of alien life forms and across the universe, it would only make sense that many of those would not match our morality or
mhm,
our culture.
Yeah, we
In
don't know
fact,
what the space
probably
people are going to do.
most of them don't, so they may not even perceive it as an injustice or a bad thing.
Right.
That doesn't make it okay. It makes it that's how it is,
Right.
you know. But
Hmm.
the the idea of something coming from the outworld, I have been taken by aliens. This is not something that I need to hypothesize about. That has happened to me. It
Hmm.
happened to Frank at the same damn time. I remembered it faster and heated. I don't anesthetize. I come out of anesthesia very, very quickly, and I know precisely what's going on in the interim that
Right.
most people don't. But, the individuals who picked us up, I don't believe had any ill will intent. If they had they'd never seen us again. They had that capability.
Hmm.
So, you know, it, there's bound to be those who are coming in here just off the cuff. Now, I'm to understand from some of our Keith Andrews conversations that there is a sort of policing of that.
Hmm.
So we don't have as much of a problem as maybe we might have had
Right.
if there wasn't. I mean, shucks, we have laws against drugs. People walk across our borders every damn day.
Yeah.
That's all illegal activity, every bit of it. And yet
Yeah.
here we are.
Right. And
So,
okay,
you know,
along that line, I will stand by what I said about we are in the protected animals group. We are the apex predators that they want to study, they want to breed, they want to crossbreed, they want everything
I'm
to do with us.
fairly
Just
sure
like,
they'd like to find out how we do some of the things we do
yeah,
and
because
imitate
we have
it.
abilities, right? Because
They
we
don't
have
have them.
abilities, they don't have them. They want them. They want to see how we do it. And Shadow is going on. This is from a few seconds, like a few minutes ago. Calling it breeding
I'm
is
sure.
inaccurate. I would use the R word along with kidnapping, assault, false imprisonment, assault, and
So would
possible
I.
murder. Right. Exactly what we do to animals that we breed.
Yeah.
Horses don't have a choice. They are bred for a certain purpose. Dogs who are being bred for puppies, they don't have a choice either. And I hate to compare us to animals, but uh, proof is right there.
Yeah.
And okay, now I would
The
like to
reason
also
why
address
we even
this.
have words for it is because we do these things.
Right, we do these things to our own animals. We want what do we want? Animal husbandry. We want cows to produce more, whatever, pigs to produce more, whatever. We do it. And
Yeah.
right, we want and these large animals that we talk about, I'm talking about humpback whales.
Oh
We
yeah.
protect them, we deal with them. Lions, gorillas, those are all
We didn't
apex.
used to.
Right. Those are
Our
all
ancestors
now we
have
know.
systematically killed them off and nearly caused them to go extinct.
Right. And now we try to help them through abduction, selective breeding, sample taking, forced birth, orca whales, okay,
Oh
humpback
yeah.
whales, pandas. Okay, anyway, why aren't Shadow goes on? Why aren't these so-called good aliens doing something to stop it or alert the proper
They
authorities? Here's
actually are.
they are. Here's where it gets a little bit in the very weird part. Okay. There are, if you look at the numbers, I'm talking, look at abductions, uh, national park abductions. Okay. Look at national park abductions and disappear without a trace abductions. Now, it seems, looking from this end, from the reserve, those guys are slotted to become the abductees. Okay. And that's part of the seeming agreement with the park that we're in. like the national park that we're in, that you can have this many and so many, and you can do so much. Okay. Now I'm going to go along and I'm going to, okay. Yeah, those are some Phil Schneider. He's bringing up Phil Schneider, right? If you believe Phil Schneider, there are monsters, excuse me, among us from outside the earth and inside the earth. Until we can stop them or recognize them, how can we protect ourselves from all sorts of things, including being misled? Okay, let
I
me
don't
address.
think we can. I don't
No,
think there's any protection for us.
there are very few of us that can protect ourselves. And I think, Lynn, you are one. I am
Oh
one.
yeah.
I like to think I'm one. And I think our Keith is one. Though he doesn't, I don't think our Keith realizes he's one that can protect himself, because I've
Well,
asked him that
yeah.
question. He said, I asked him, what can we do to prevent it? And he says, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. I disagree. Okay. Now, I'm going to invoke Sylvia Brown. All right.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. I
now,
thought you might be going that way.
whatever you might say about Sylvia Brown, I'm going to put Sylvia Brown in there with there's another guy, and he was writing some books because he had a big experience. Okay, forget it. If I remember it, I'll bring it up. But Sylvia Brown, okay, now
All right,
she
this right
put it,
here, all you
yeah,
got to do is use it.
yep.
And your
Sylvia Brown,
imagination is what you start with.
Riley Martin, and Sylvia Brown. Riley
Yeah.
Martin. Now, Riley Martin, he went on um I can never remember this dude's name. The shock jock that Frank is always reminding me his name.
I can't
Is
remember.
is Frank there at the moment?
I'm not in the room, although
Okay.
he may pop in. I think he's listening to the broadcast.
Okay. All right. Shadow and Sun. Okay. I do believe there are bad guys and we are
Oh,
slotted.
I have no doubt of it.
Yeah,
I
there's
truly
good
don't.
guys, and like even in our own wild habitats, humpback whales. Let's just use humpback whales. They're big. They're the kings of the ocean. Okay, they really are. They're
Hmm.
a king of the ocean. There are those going and
And their
hunting
intelligence
humpback.
is superior as well.
Right. There are those that go and hunt them still, but then there are those that go and protect them. Also, we tag and release. We tag to make sure, right? We treat them well, we're on the good side of stuff. We treat them like that, right? Now, there are the bad side. They hunt them, they kill them, they strip them of their body parts, and they throw stuff away. That's the bad part. Those would be the bad aliens. The bad humans are like the bad aliens, and we're the humpbacks. Okay,
There you go.
so
I mean, it's all co-relatable. You
right,
know, and that's not saying it's okay. It's saying this is what's going on.
right, and I want to address the second part of what he says here. How can we protect ourselves from all sorts of things, including being misled? We have to open our
It,
eyes.
get your
It's
eyes
here.
open, get your mind open,
Yeah, it's here.
and
Don't.
get
Mhm.
to get your psychic moving, because your psychic is going to protect you against us more than
Yeah,
anything
and
else does.
I will inject a little bit of, and it harms none, do as you will. There's your protection, right? If it harms none, do as you will. That
Yeah,
can protect you, because
good. Yeah,
do as you will means
I'm
do
a
or
little confused. I said that whales' intellect can be superior,
yes.
and I don't back down from that one bit. Thank you.
Oh no, I don't back down at all.
These
I mean,
guys
I'm
are
not challenging that at all.
pulling their pods together and going after yachts. This
Right.
is not an inferior group of intelligence.
Oh,
Not.
you're looking at another comment, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me see. I think this is it. Is this the one you were looking at?
Yep.
Clearly superior. Okay. Um, I will disagree respectfully, Shadow, that We are not superior. We only run one realm.
Yeah.
We're the monkeys on the surface. They're the ones
Dolphins.
running.
They
They
just
run the stuff.
discovered a dolphin that has a thumb on a fin and knows how to use it.
Yeah. Now,
You know.
about the dolphin with the thumb, is that a held back thing? Did they have thumbs in the past? Or is
Well,
that
I don't know.
evolution moving forward? We don't know yet. We got to see. Okay. And I'm going to say we are not superior. Okay. We're not superior in the ocean. We have to use devices to do anything in the ocean. Submarines, boats, scuba gear, right? We're superior on land, just like they're superior in the ocean.
Yeah.
They run that shit.
They
Okay.
don't need tools to
Right.
be there.
But that you can't judge. That's two different
Apples
two
and
different
oranges.
right. It's like, well, fish can't climb trees, so we're superior. Not necessarily. We can't breathe water. So does that make us superior or them superior? Well, it depends on context. I'm on a roll tonight, y'all. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And okay, next, he is saying, I do not comply or consent until I see justice. You have to define justice. We're not the big kids on the block, dude. We really aren't. We are the big kids among the other kids in our walled garden here. Earth is that walled garden. And not when it comes to the other guys coming in. They got agreements amongst themselves. We can be farmed, we can be catch and release, just like we do with these animals. Okay. And Lunar, I would like to have you come in one day on the panel if you're up to it. Not tonight. Tonight's a strange one, but it might be your show. I don't know. And um thank you. I mean, this is only my personal experience. I'm talking. I'm not drawing off a bunch of sources. This is what I see right in front of my face. And these are people I've actually talked to in real life and emailed, not all that stuff. Okay. Yeah, this is where Sylvia dropped the ball, okay? I don't know what happened with her. There was a lot going on in her life at the time,
Yeah.
okay? There was a
Things kind
lot
of
going
went
on.
pop for her in a hurry.
Yeah, and she left. I am convinced she took an exit point
Oh
because
yeah.
she achieved what she achieved. She did well. But something in her life, I know she was having problems with her husband and problems with people, and that her spirit guide wasn't talking to her. Well, when that happens, I have found it's usually when my own ego gets in the way
Mhm.
that my guide stops talking to me.
Yeah, I was going to
So,
mention that. When our guides start to let us do our own thing on our own and not speak to us, whether it's the small still voice or whether it's a booming loudspeaker, it's because we've chosen a path that we're obviously determined to go through, and they are not able to go that way with us.
mhm. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
they're waiting. So you have free. This is them talking.
it's free
My
will.
best thing. You have your free will. You're free to fall, free to fail. Go for it. And
And we're
uh,
so stubborn. Sometimes we just decide that we got to do this.
mhm. And we have to learn the hard way because
Yeah.
we can. That's just us humans. And Shadow comes back with, so they got breathing water in us. That's it. Not only that,
So what?
there's
Apparently,
more.
he knows
There is
more about it than we do,
yeah,
and we're just
but
gonna
there
have
is
to
more.
give him the knowledge.
Okay. Where do you think they got Star Trek The Voyage Home? Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Where do you think they got that idea from? Because whales are in touch with a lot more than we give them credit for, right? We just
Hmm.
think since they don't have telephones and technology and internet like we understand it, doesn't
And
mean they don't
thanks
have
for
their
all
own
the
thing going.
fish.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they don't got their own thing going. We have lost touch with ourselves, and You know what? That's right back to what I was talking about. They're
And we're
trying
not
to
in touch with our own planet. Not
right.
really.
They have the network that we lost. Our little computers up here, we have lost communication. They have it. They're still in communication. And we don't see that anymore. And I'm going to bring this up now. I was talking about the third eye. Well, there is this thing called the basal ganglia in our brains. It is
Mhm.
some cross connecting wiring that lets all the different parts of the brain talk to all the different other parts of the brain, talk to
That's
each
right.
other. And the more connected it is, I will link the video in here. My friend Nate on Facebook showed me this, and it's like the people who have more basal ganglia, where the brain is communicating, intercommunicating better, seem to have more. Now, this I'm going to have to verify this, but I'm going with it for now. Seem to have more experiences with ghosts, UFOs, strange phenomenon, like uh, like jumping realities
Excuse
and
me.
seeing UFOs, cryptids, seeing cryptids, being
You
able.
know, it may just be a certain perception. I mean, there's a whole bunch of colors out there that the human eye is not able to see. Does that mean they're not there? Of course not.
Right.
You know,
Infrared,
but
ultraviolet, all
yeah,
the other
but
things.
there's a certain number of humans who have a larger spectrum than others.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that it works the same way with 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 psychic phenomena. They just have a frequency that's able to see them.
Right. Okay. This is I'm starting to think, Shadow, this is a favorite topic of yours, bro.
It is.
He's saying,
I
"You
know it is.
cannot, I will not be farmed. You can, but I cannot, will not be farmed, harvested, or manipulated." Dude, too late. We're in the society that was handed to us. That's now I know what you're referring to, but we're being guided like cows into this. Yeah, we you're one of the awake ones, which makes me think, okay, now you come from the side of the humans doing it to other humans, and I get that. I understand it. Okay. Uh, very bad news stuff. Okay. With all them
Strong
islands
emotions about
that we
it.
can't talk about on YouTube. Hmm?
Yeah, and he has very strong emotions about it, and they're valid.
Yeah.
There's nothing he has said that I haven't thought, back and forth. But I would not call me a fatalist. I'm not. But I am one to see things just exactly the way they are.
Right.
And my ability to affect them isn't necessarily there. I can observe, I can watch. If
Hmm.
I have an opportunity to do something about it, I'm going to. But if I don't, I simply don't.
Yeah. It just is not part of our reality.
Not the
Yeah.
reality necessarily so much as the opportunity.
Hmm.
If we are not given an opportunity in any way, shape, or form to affect it,
Yeah. Then
what
it
are we
can't
to
be.
do about it?
Yeah, it's like we're here, we're looking through blinders, and it's
Yeah,
just the way it is for humans. That's why and I am personal opinion, that's why we made friends with dogs and cats because they saw we were really good at what we do, and we saw they're really good at what they do. So
yeah, and
we
we chose
decided to
to
be
survive
friends.
together, and we
Right,
probably
survive
did
together.
survive because we did that.
Right. And um all right, this is the next part of Shadow's retort, right? Exactly. If we cannot hold them to obvious morals, and I cannot and will not trust them, who who are you
Hmm,
talking to? Who are
yeah,
you talking? We're not talking to, talking about, because we got all these different. Let's. I will hold to the comparison.
how do you
You got
pinpoint it?
yeah,
How do
okay.
you
You
do
got
that?
yeah. There's. I mean, which group are you talking about? You talking about the ones that the friendlies that are embedded here? Are you talking about the people, the scalpers, the what's that word when you hunt illegally?
Poachers.
Poachers? You talking
Mm-hmm.
about the poachers? Are you talking about the ones that are trying to help us along? Or are you talking about the ones that want to eat us? Okay? Because we're
I'm
at
sure they all exist.
they right. I mean, I've got a book that Keith made that says they all that's his personal experience. So uh you can't blanket them all with one statement. Okay? You
Well,
got let's go with the
but
top.
then again, you know, maybe he can, and this is how he copes, and we all have to decide what we can cope with. Now,
Right.
there's what it really comes down to. And if it's not in our yard, and I'm saying our immediate area
Mhm.
playing, what are you going to do? Search
Yeah.
them out? You're going to say,
Yeah, that's
okay,
looking
you're
for
going to
trouble.
law?
I don't look for
No,
trouble. When
not
trouble
me.
comes to me, I deal with it.
I'm sitting here on this show. I got all the trouble I could handle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And when you say, okay, let me liken it to some other things, right? Let's go with Star Wars. Are we talking about, okay, let's go with Star Wars references. Are we talking about the obvious morals of the Jawas, the Empire, the Rebels? How about the Aqualish? How about the Wookiees? They all are different,
Or the
right? Uh,
humans in the same story.
right, the
And
Empire
there's a
or the
number of
Rebels.
different kinds of those too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, it's not obvious morals, right?
It's not
And you
about
got all
morals.
this, right? The Star Wars people, all that stuff. It's the context is so important. Now, I understand where you're coming from, Shadow. Why aren't you in here? Why aren't you in here? Get in here. Hit that button. Do what we do best.
If he doesn't
Get
want to be, it's
do
okay.
that. Do that.
You know, it's he may not be able to right now. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm very much against any kind of huge emotional output
Right.
with this
And I
sort of
do
thing.
not start with fear. I
No.
want to understand. That's hey Joe, welcome back to the chat. Your link
Yeah,
is
you need to
in
be here too, Joseph.
yeah. Your link is in the mail waiting on your inbox. If you can come in, if you feel up to it. But okay, Shadow says he's coming too.
And if it
And
gets a little crowded, I'll just bow out, and that's all right.
okay. I don't mean to get
Not
everybody
to
riled
worry.
up. Okay. I don't mean to get anybody riled up. But
No,
it's plenty of
I'm
coffee.
not going to participate in riled up.
Mm. I'm just excited with the coffee. And I had some really strong tea earlier too. That was really good stuff.
Yeah,
Um
I had some Earl Grey earlier. Didn't know I was doing this. Kind of glad for that now.
and but I refuse to come at this from a point of fear. Like
No, there's no fear is not
you,
going to solve this. Fear
you
is
know the
not
phrase, it
going to
takes a
approach
thief.
this right.
Right. It takes a thief to catch a thief. That means you got to get in the head of the other guy.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
agree with it,
if you're
but
afraid,
understand the motivations.
okay, where does that put you on the spectrum? Makes you a victim.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to be a victim.
Yeah.
I'm not
What's the saying
interested
in
in
Star Wars? Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. That's true.
that.
It's
Yes,
in
it is.
Star Wars, but it's true.
So,
And here we go. Shadows coming in. Round 3.
oh boy. Hi,
You know
Shadow.
it's a school night, right?
Is it?
I know.
I
Not for
didn't
me,
know
but
you went to school.
no, my son.
Oh,
I know. I know. It can't be too late tonight.
No,
okay.
no,
But
this was a total surprise, and I just got through doing a 3-hour show
So
ending at 8,
you're
so I had to
already
spend some
wound
time
up
with it.
tight.
Oh, no, it was a good show. It was a good show. It's just it's like
Excellent.
this. It's like this. Here on Earth, if you see a crime and you don't report it, you're just as guilty.
You're
They're
complicit.
seeing a crime. The good guys are
Yes.
watching the bad guys do stuff. If they would at least tell us, then we could actually do something about it. Maybe as futile as it might be, we would at least go into that great unknown, knowing we gave it our all and we didn't get led to the slaughter slowly over generations.
Who's to say they haven't?
And
Have you
and
been
here
told?
we are.
I personally been told no, but we have things called
It's
leaders
personal.
here, people,
Yeah. Well,
and I
They-
And,
wouldn't
and,
be
and if
surprised
the
if
good
they
guys know
haven't been.
anything, if the good guys know anything, they know their leaders have decided not to tell us, which
Oh,
means
yeah.
they've led us, which means they're also complicit in leading us to slavery, slaughter, or manipulation.
But they
That
were
means the
thinking
good
about that anyhow.
That means the good guys are complicit in that as well.
Shaking hands with Putin and what's his name over in North Korea. Yeah, there's a little bit of complicit going on there.
yeah.
Therefore,
And
if the good guys aren't making it known to all of us, they're
No, they're not
complicit in
going
every
to.
bad thing that happens to us.
Mhm.
That's how it works in our legal system. We can't
Yeah.
sue them or take them
Legal
to court,
system.
but we could resist.
they want that's
What
on
legal system here?
dude. That's on the surface, and they want us to stay there. That's
Our
why we do
systems
this show.
are breaking down as we sit here.
Or what are?
All
Right.
of that. Our legal system and everything else is breaking down as we sit here. And being
Some things
broken
yes, some
down
things no. I've
by
been
bit.
watching certain court cases going on right now, and we're winning. And it's only a matter of time before, we all have to lay our cards on the table, so to speak. But you can't call yourself a good guy if you're watching people be oppressed and eaten and led to slaughter or whatever they're doing. They have
Right.
all the power
And
to
you know
let
what?
guys like me and
That's why
Joe,
we're
John Q.
here.
Public know. And
You know
without
what?
doing
That's
that,
why every
I'm not
link in
buying
my
our good guys.
description, right?
Oh,
Rich,
sorry, can't hear you.
Rich, Amy, Dark Hour, Lynn, Chris, all the links in the description. We're the whistle. We are the real whistleblowers.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, we're coming from the energy level. All of us, everybody wants to come from, well, there's no proof. There's no evidence. Oh, isn't there? Isn't there?
There
Because
is a lot of proof. There's
there's a lot of
There's,
proof.
there's,
It's just not within their context to admit it. Because
the problem is, Nathan, that people cannot perceive things that are not within their context. They really can't, and that's part of the situation. They can't conceive of the thing.
right.
So
it's just because I can conceive of a whole lot. But what
yeah,
I cannot,
do.
what I
You
cannot,
Imagination's wild.
but what I cannot do is go to every court in the land and prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Mm.
So we have the internet. That's all we got.
That's not proof. Proof is
No, I'm not saying it's proof. No, we're talking about our evidence. Just like our evidence, that's why eyewitnesses, right? How many people saw it? 2 people. Let's look at those 2 people. They look at those 2 people and they contextualize them.
Right, or even if multiple person sightings, that's still not proof. That could be any number of other things.
Right, that's why it's dismissed.
Right, and
that's
until
exactly
they land on the White House lawn,
and that's
say
why
we're
here.
Well, see, and that's part of our legal system too. You cannot bring something to justice if you don't have the proper amount of evidence and it be irrefutable, particularly not in this case. Or out of context.
We're almost there. But I can't stand idly by and tout the virtues of people that won't do what they can clearly do.
Oh, I'm not. Don't mistake what I'm saying for. It's okay that they're doing this. It's not okay.
And it's not okay to stand by and watch either.
Right. And so what can I do? I can donate. I can talk about it. I can lend a hand when I'm there on the scene. I really am. I'm boxed in society like we all are. We're all boxed in. Lynn, your stories you've done so much to help people out. I can only hope I can get there, right? And I told a story in the first hour that Rich,
I've dealt with it's very little that I've been able to affect, but I have affected where I can, and
Exactly.
that's where we all are right now.
Yeah, and
We have to do what we can do at
right,
at our hand to change things.
right. And since we're not in the political system, we're not
No,
running for office. The best we can do is
I
take our
simply
neighbor,
cannot lie like that. I can't
right,
be in
and
the
that's the
political
system.
system.
That's the system that there are people that can, and those people don't like
Good
to
on
come
you,
around
Lynn.
here because I call them out.
What's that?
I said, good
Go
for you,
ahead.
Lynn. Uh, hopefully, if the little guy, makes it as far as he plans on, maybe he'll be one of those people. But I don't want to wait a whole nother generation. Every day
Right.
that goes by, we don't know what's going on. I always go back to Phil Schneider. What he described was hell on earth, and
Yeah.
that hell on earth could spread to everywhere, not just
Okay.
Dulce, New Mexico, in
All
a
right.
matter
I
of
know
Now,
that
days.
story.
before we go too far, let's make sure our listeners understand who Phil Snyder is.
Okay.
He was a government contractor who was working in a mining operation, and he and his team broke through and discovered an alien base in Dulce, New Mexico, filled with the most horrific human experimentations and feasting. You can right out of hell, but right before his very eyes. He was then blasted, cut open like a fish, lost a couple of fingers, tried to tell the world, and was suicided for his efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's what happened. That is
In a
in a
nutshell,
nutshell what happened.
that's
He went
that's
And
on.
Phil in a nutshell.
anybody who blows the whistle on this is looking at the very same thing.
Right. Because the
I'm okay with that.
elites on who are in charge, they don't want the cows to know they're cows. That's us. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Phil Schneider.
I
me
live
put it
less
in.
than 100 miles away from He Who Shall Not Be Named's ranch, and that place was only accessible through helicopter and some of the heavy terrain vehicles. And the things that went on there, the rumors about that in the last 10 years have been horrific. And I think he was complicit in all of it.
Oh. You're gonna
Precisely
have to
what
clue
you've
me
been
in on
saying.
that. Who?
As Shadow it just talked about a thing in New Mexico. I think he was part of it.
Okay, I'm a little lost. Are you talking about
Certain
Skinwalker Ranch?
party
You're not
who
talking about
hung
Skinwalker.
himself in a jail cell.
Oh,
help
right,
you?
right.
That
Did he
wouldn't
have?
surprise me, considering the massive numbers of people that disappear every year. We're looking at tens of millions of people disappear and are never found again every year
Well,
worldwide.
and you look at Melinda Gates, who's a very upright person, okay? And the minute she found out that her ex-spouse had partaken of that particular ranch, she dumped him and dumped him hard.
Yeah.
There's only one reason for somebody as religious as she is to do that, and that is extreme circumstances.
Distancing herself from what could
Boy,
someday.
big
Yes.
time distancing,
Well,
not
the only
just distancing,
problem
but
I have with that
coming
is,
down hard on it.
if you ever look into the Gates, is look at photos of them like 15 years ago and now. They don't look the same, or at least she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. She went through some physical transformation where she does not look like the same person. I don't know what that is, what the truth is behind that, but I know.
Are you saying her facial features or
Yeah,
overall?
her facial features are completely different, and not the kind of stuff you can do with your
Alice Stepford Wives?
She doesn't look even female now, compared to the way she used to look. And I don't know what kind of botched plastic surgery would explain it, but from my discerning eyes, she looks like a completely different person. But
I'll have to look into
but
that.
but her actions,
Lord.
I could see how she might have been replaced. Something went bad on the island. He got a replacement. The replacement said, "Yeah, no, I'm out." I don't know. I can speculate all day on that.
Then there would have been a little matter of suicide.
Maybe she got out,
Well,
in public
I
enough
don't
to
know.
make it not warranted. Who knows? She agreed to keep her mouth shut. She's just out.
Yeah,
To
see, that's some of the elite games that we don't have access to.
no, but I
That's
can
just
also
And anybody, got to figure that being a millionaire in this country these days is nothing.
no, the
It's
billionaires
absolutely
wear sacks.
nothing. A
Well,
couple of,
it depends.
we'll
I mean,
say half a billion. We'll
you
say
give me
half a billion. It's
990,
nothing.
you
It's
give me
nothing.
999 million. That's something.
Yeah, you're talking about $1 billion.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point, and
Even at
that's a
500.
big maybe. You might be invited to a small tea party with that crew, but
Yeah,
it's highly unlikely.
yeah, wouldn't accept that kind of invitation.
It
It's
gives
just,
me a
here's
creep.
the thing. Here's the thing. I suspect that if everybody knew beyond the shadow of a doubt what's going on, at least that there's aliens, good and bad, the face of the world would change drastically to the point where they wouldn't be able to get away with what they're doing. We wouldn't let them, and we'd probably die trying, to
right.
maintain our
Well,
freedom.
we are still under the mass illusion that they don't exist. It's silly. You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, that's coming to a halt.
To be perfectly honest, I still, despite everything I've said, I don't know that they are there. I also have words from folks that tell us that there's something completely different than what we suspect, and that's a topic for another evening.
Well,
But
you have as many different stories about how an abduction happens as there are people who experienced them.
they've got a lot of
there's a lot of
commonalities.
different kinds of these guys.
But there's a lot of commonalities, and even one abduction is intolerable, in my opinion. No one gave anybody permission.
I agree.
Well,
That's why
it wasn't until we started threatening them and visualizing those threats that they decided to turn us loose.
That's one of them Riley Martin things.
I think actually what the tipping point was, believe it or not, was this thing called the Summer of Love, not the original one, but the second one, where the weakest amongst us showed the law enforcement agencies across this great country of ours that they are nothing, and we can beat them with rocks and sticks and bottles.
Oh yeah.
And when they realized that,
Riot can show you that
considering that we outnumber them 1,000 to 1, their tanks and their bombs and their planes are meaningless, because if you bomb us, then you have nobody to rule over, and that's the last thing they want. That's the last thing they're going to resort to.
Mm-hmm.
When humanity realizes what's going on, if that is in fact what's going on, we stand a chance. Not a great one. I'm not saying we can just reach out and smack them out of the sky, but the fact that there are any that are standing by up there watching means that, to me, they're just as complicit. There are no good guys.
Okay, hold on. Now, I don't agree with any of the abductions. One abduction is too many. I agree. But they're going to get along with themselves. I'm not agreeing with it. I can see it takes a thief to catch a thief. I can identify with why they're doing it. I don't agree with it, but I can recognize it. Okay.
The biggest problem that we have towards this situation is being so afraid of it.
Yes.
Because once we decided then I'm saying both Frank and I decided at that moment that hell no, you're not doing this to us, and starting to see and plan out in our mind what we're going to do about it. Those guys backed up so fast it wasn't funny.
No, then they must have
known. Our minds are what they're afraid of. Yeah. They're not as big a predator as we worry about.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
have.
don't think it's a very similar situation. If the ETs, they probably realize that they, if we were informed, we would be unconquerable.
Well, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I
And
don't think that they're wanting us to be conquerable. I think they're wanting
or
us to
digestible.
elevate ourselves.
I'm not buying that. If they wanted to
No.
elevate us, here's the thing. If they wanted to elevate us, one crazy night of us dealing with the fact that they exist, after all the screaming stopped and all the people who couldn't handle it did what they were going to do, the remainder of humanity would be just fine with the reality of their existence, and we would be able to then move forward. I think what they're more afraid of is their own fear of losing power over us when
Oh,
we realize we could leave in a heartbeat.
here's
You know,
something for you. That
I'm more
one,
thinking that they aren't worried about elevating us. They're worried about elevating themselves.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
there is a lot of talk
that
about them needing us more than we need them.
Shadow, that one screaming night could end them because
Mhm.
when we explode, I mean, for real, we explode in the quantum sphere. They don't want that. They want us. They want to bring us up okay, Joe's having tech problems. I think they want to bring
Yeah,
us up a
sounded like
slow
it.
simmer, not flash fire, right?
Yeah,
Because
I'm
when
not.
we
I'm not
flash,
interested in that.
right? When you're talking about the one night of screaming, that will end them. They don't want that because that will hurt them. Okay, let's define the one night of screaming. Let's say that. Okay, you're
That's the
gonna
night
have
where we all find out they're real, and the
A whole bunch of us get hysterical and start planning our retribution.
a lot of
nuclear
people will
bomb.
self delete. Uh, there could be nuclear exchanges. There could be
There
all
would
kinds
be.
of problems.
There now I'm taking your term, right? The one night of screaming. Okay. Oh, what a title. One night of screaming. That one night I'm renaming the show. I'm renaming
You're welcome.
I'm renaming the show. Okay.
Occasionally
That one night of
have my
screaming
moments.
will carry over. It'll kill most of us. Then there's nothing to do, just like that other idea. You don't bomb who you're trying to bring up. It'll kill most of us, and it will radiate from here to out there. Because I mean,
We
that
have the
one night of
ability.
screaming.
Yeah, I think we do a
Some of
little
us.
better than that. I can see, there's the spectrum. It could be, our last night on Earth, or it could just be the beginning. And I'm gonna, go with it's just the beginning. Maybe there's only 18 people left. Maybe there's billions. I really can't
Yeah.
say, but I
Joe's
prefer
having tech
that.
problems.
I prefer that to the tens of millions of humans that disappear every year to end up in somebody's soup or in their bedroom or what have you. I can't be okay with that. When the numbers of
Oh,
people that disappear.
Well, just on the mundane, some of the crap that serial killers and even some of the, we'll say, elites are
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
is
we
And
don't even
having
beyond
firsthand knowledge of that.
beyond understanding.
right. We don't even
Not
need
just our own
aliens to
species.
talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
El Paso, Texas. Body harvesting, organ harvesting.
Oh yeah. There's a
You
lot
know,
of that
Nuggets.
going
no
on.
aliens, right? No aliens
Well,
involved. That's people that
not
we are aware of.
outside of the planet aliens anyway.
Right. No off-worlders. Humans doing that to humans.
Mhm.
And
In
it's for people who can't be bothered to wait in line like the rest of us.
well, I'm talking about the body harvesting.
I am too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you know, uh, a lot of people might not know, but in the last year, over 85,000 children came across that border, never to be seen again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a
I
horrendous
think
appetite.
And that's not in our foster care system. Our foster care system has been pushed so far that putting that many kids into it is
never
just
entered
nigh on to impossible.
They
So
never
they
entered
can't
that
use
system.
that.
Lynn.
They
Those
can't.
children,
Well, they
they
can't
never
use
entered that
that.
system.
That's what I'm saying.
No, they never entered it at all. They went straight to other locations.
Right.
They never entered
And
the TPS
that's
system.
bad. You know, no off-worlders involved. That's bad. We got to fix
We don't know
ourselves.
that for sure. I could see how a percentage of them, got taken away elsewhere, off-world or whatever. I don't know. There's so many that, why would they, why would the bad guys, from up there or whatever, say, no, we don't want them. We don't want the youngins. We just want the old ones. Why would they do that?
They don't. And I'll tell you, in El Paso, and in the area between El Paso and where I live, okay, which is the large stretch of desert between here and there, and they found three different corpses just in the last 2 days. Of women who got across the border okay, but they're dead, and they were within feet of help.
Yeah,
They don't
it's
know how
horrific.
they died. They just know that they did.
Well, they
Nobody-
probably know, but they're not talking about it because
Well, no.
that R word doesn't get used without a whole lot of censorship. Just
Well,
look at what happened in the Middle East and how they refuse to talk about the
Yeah.
R word over there.
Oh no,
That's why they went.
that happened. Yeah. Sure.
That was the main incentive for those bad guys to do what they did was all the blanks you can R, if you go over an attack, and that's what they did.
Mhm.
And everybody's terrified to use that word because it's a horrific, evil act. One of the most
Well, and
evil.
it is referring to someone who is an evil person or a group of people.
Yeah, and they don't want to be known.
No.
They want to be hidden and stay evil while pretending to be in with the good guys.
Monty, it rhymes with great. And as for Lunar, I'm speculating 100% when it comes to off-worlders, just because that's the discussion. I've been in certain fields to where I know what I'm talking about when it comes to what humans do to other humans. Just that if the aliens
And what
exist,
they do to hide it.
right? If aliens exist, then by what we call morals, if they cannot abide by or understand or live with what we consider to be moral, right, and just, and they feel themselves above it, then they are, by that virtue alone, my enemy. If we can't come to an agreement that murder and stealing and kidnapping and things like that are not okay, then we're dealing with an immoral species, civilization, whatever you want to call it, that cannot be rationalized or dealt with on our level. And to think that it's okay for anything to do those things, I can't live with that either.
Okay, I bet that's exactly the way the Lions feel about us. Because we are, you can take that and you can switch it down. We do that to lions and whales, right?
I understand, but they've come to an evolutionary end. They're not going to evolve as far as we know.
There you go. Okay.
As far as we know, there may be outliers, there may be cases, but facts are facts. All life survives by consuming other life. As far as I know, other than one fern that lives solely on sunlight, everything needs to eat. Okay. And
yeah,
we can help them if they need a food source, but if their only food source in the whole galaxy is us, sorry, I can't help.
I'm not going to.
Right.
We
and then you got
to where we are by eating meat. We're going to have to continue to eat meat, and the cows and the chickens and the pigs get out of luck.
Depends on vegetables and
right.
And
I mean, there's
maybe you can, I can't.
We're varied.
Our whole physiology depends on eating animals and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
I mean,
I don't know about
we're a mixed bag as far as eating meat. Okay, well, then, okay, by that same comparison, okay, you got the people who let's go with lions, right? There are people who want to protect the lions,
Mhm.
and they can only do so much against the people who want to poach the lions. They can only do so much, and they're not in really. They're only in charge of themselves. They can't stop all the poaching. They can say, if you poach in my land, I'm going to shoot you, because that's what we do with deer. That's what we do with game here in the United States. No hunting, no trespassing on my land. Lethal force is authorized or legal, whatever it is, the state, right?
Mhm.
And if I was to go out here, and this is all no hunting area, well, this is deer country, and if now up the road there is an authorized hunting place, okay. Now, I can't save all the deer, because the deer are going to go over there. They're deer. They're going to go over. Same thing with the lions. Lions, if we're the lions, okay? If we go now, none of them are in charge of us. We are in charge of ourselves. And you got the people who want to eat us, the people who want to experiment on us, the people who want to protect us, just like there are the people who want to protect the lions, eat the lions, poach the lions. They can't all police each other. We can't all police the other bad guys. We're the good guys. I want to personally protect lions and learn about them, right? I do. I want to protect. I want them to
No, they don't
live
even
their best
taste good.
lives.
They don't even
Whatever.
taste
You know
good.
what I'm talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
whales.
Same thing. I'm cool with just the pigs, the cows, and the chickens. If that's all we ever ate as a species, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Okay,
And to be honest, most of us would be. We could limit it to just those three sources, and
right.
we could ship
No,
half
However,
all
just
kinds of
fine
cows,
with it.
pigs, and chickens, and they'd all
however,
be fine.
you've seen
We
people
would,
with
and
pets,
we have survived quite well on those three animals, and with
right?
vegetables and
Now,
grain we can put together.
there are people who there are people, I'm not talking about organizations, I'm talking about personal people who raise cows, pigs, chickens
Mhm.
as pets. They don't want to eat them, and they disagree, but they are not in charge of the people of us.
You're in
I
charge of
will
the ones they buy.
right, they're in charge of their AO. They can, like, if we go over to get a cow from somebody else's field, we are endangering ourselves, because we're going outside the zone that we're
They got
able to do
holes.
anything in. Right, right. I posit that
Around
that's
here,
what
you're
they're doing
likely
out
to
there.
find somebody shooting at you.
Right,
Rightly so.
right. I posit that they're in the same situation, that those guys can only stop so many based on agreed borders. And if you come over to my yard, you can't mess with the humans here. These are under my protection. You're going to have a problem. And they do a court. Now, I agree with Keith that there is some kind of confederation going on where they have come to an agreement that the poachers and the eaters and the lovers, they all, and the proponents.
That's a horrific way of putting it.
I know. And the proponents, the protectors, the people who want us to
No, I
succeed,
meant the other. The other. Never mind.
the lovers.
Yeah. I don't think
Yeah, my
that's.
bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right word.
Well, I haven't been hit on by an
Well, you
alien
keep using
yet.
that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Here's the thing that came to me. You guys always talk about how they can, stop the nuclear weapons if they want with their technology. So, well, let's have that night of screaming, and they can just do their techno magic and make sure none of our nukes go off. And yeah, maybe we'll lose a few cities, and maybe even a billion people overnight. But in the end, the survivors will be, you know, forearmed, forewarned about what's really going on, and we could all then, come to a general consensus of what we're going to do. Because let's not forget, they know there is a huge difference between the animals we eat and us. We are far more advanced and intelligent and sentient than the cows, the pigs, and the chickens. Okay, There's a huge difference. They cannot, and nor will we accept the fact that we're no different than the cows, the pigs, and the chickens when it comes to their dietary needs. That is a load of crap. We have evolved to the point where we are almost ready to go out on our own in the solar system. And were it not for them, let's hypothesize that we'd already be out there doing our own thing. We'd be living on Mars and the moon and God knows where else, because we've had the technology for, going on my lifetime to go out there. And yet shortly thereafter, once we did, we said, there's nothing out there for us. We're not ready. All that, horse shit, excuse my French. We know we can go out there. We know we can colonize the moon and Mars. We've just been convinced that we can't. We know
our biggest problem is we fight amongst ourselves for the privilege.
Right.
So,
well, there's a bunch of other issues, but we could have at least tried. But since the 70s, we just said
space.
Since the 70s, we just said, it's not for us.
It's the elites controlling all that stuff. I love being able to point at you two. It's the elites doing it. The elites.
I'm aware of that, and they've sold their souls for the places that they live now, to be able to do the things that they do, to control us in the way they think they do. But like I said, Summer of Love proved they have no control whatsoever, should we decide otherwise. And one night of coming to grips with the reality of this hypothetical situation would only make us stronger. And to
I don't
let
think
us
so. I think one night of screaming would weaken us, and it would also weaken them. But they're already so much stronger than we are because they operate on a set of rules that we're not even aware of.
I get that, yeah. And if they wanted to, end us, they could have, would have, or can at any moment. But I don't think that's what they want. I think they want other things that we can say no to. And without the ability to say no or yes, or even have a choice, that is taking something from us that they, in my opinion, don't have the right to do, other than through the force law.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
And now, and here we are. I say it again. That's what we're doing here. We tell people they are powerful, and they are, especially in that realm of stuff. We can do stuff with our heads that is the craziest stuff. Let me tell you something, right? Affecting reality. Okay. Quick little story. All right. I don't, shaving. This is something that a lot of people can relate to, right? Shaving.
Hey,
I had a razor blade, right? Now, this is affecting reality directly. All right. I had a razor blade that had a replaceable head. A lot of them do. And some of them now, most of them have it to where you can't put it on backwards. But I accidentally put it on backwards. So the thing was scraping my face like that, right? So in logic, in physicality, it shouldn't have worked at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
With physics as we accept them, it shouldn't have worked at all. But it worked because I figured it was going to work, because I did it right. In my head, I did it right. I manifested brand new razor blade, and it worked. It didn't work well, and I was like, I just changed this thing. Why is this shaving so rough? It acted like a week-old razor, I looked at it. I realized I had it on backwards. How did it work at all? Because I manifested it. I couldn't believe it. It tripped me out for years. Okay, I was like, how the fuck did that even happen? How could that have even right? It should have happened because I manifested it. I have other examples of that shit. That's what they're afraid of. That one night of screaming, we will manifest destruction on every level, and they don't want that because it'll hit them. It'll not only hit us, it'll hit them, and it'll wreck our game and their game. They don't want that.
Well, and most people don't quite get that human beings, when they're threatened like that, really don't give a shit if we get hurt out of it.
Yeah. I think actually
the enemy.
I think what you just said there, Lynn, is a bigger part of the provable equation. I could see literally humanity, giving the aliens a big old double-barreled middle finger, saying, "Fine, we'll just self-delete the entire planet. You get nothing." we are that kind of stubborn and what's the word I'm looking for? Spiteful. That if we
Oh
knew,
yeah.
I could literally see humanity going, okay, we all voted and we're just going to nuke ourselves or poison ourselves. You're getting none of us, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. Okay, you
Yeah,
can take the
that's
planet, big freaking deal.
and
We don't
that's
care.
they don't want that either.
I think
They
they'd
don't
be
want
more
they want
worried about that kind of uh,
Well,
determination and
if we
resistance
did
than
something like that, just in this solar system alone, all hell would break loose.
well, they'd fight over the
Think about
ashes. That's
that.
for certain.
Well, I'm
well
not even looking at it from that standpoint, but the solar system would be so out of balance and out of whack
Yeah,
that they're going to get caught in a vast vortex that they're not prepared to deal with.
I have no way to um, corroborate that. I get, the way you guys talk about things
You
like
get
that.
the theory.
I'm gonna stick with the more realistic, the simpler solutions or simpler answers. That stuff may all be very well and true. I just cannot repeatedly prove it, but I do know human nature, and I do know that it seems to me that from the things I've been studying over the years, if there is an alien presence, they're wanting something akin to, living, malleable life forms that will do their bidding more than anything else.
Well,
Even the ones who want to eat
and
us would rather we walk in line to be, slaughtered than to have to round us up, or they
they,
want us to do their manual labor rather than having to round us up and
I,
breed us in farms for that purpose.
I would point this out that to back up my point about us being that spiteful. In Berlin, at the end of the war, the Second World War, the Russians were on their way in. Somewhere around 40 to 50% of Berliners committed suicide rather than capitulate to the Russians.
I've never heard that story, but that doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
it did.
It's similar to the
People committed suicide on the park benches rather than be taken by them. Because the Russians are very, very ruthless people.
well, I'm
Now,
Russian.
you put, I am too.
me too.
And I
Um,
know damn
so,
well they're ruthless. The
but
point is
I also
that
know they
knowing that one thing about humanity,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
humanity would rather absolutely give itself up in that way than to allow another persons or species to take
Yeah.
them.
I have actually put a small that idea into practice. If I lose, you're gonna lose too. We'll
I have
both
to.
lose.
I think
I have
that's
to.
that's more of a factor. Monty, I think you meant Okinawa uh, in that last statement. Just checking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've never heard of that place. I think the movie Apocalypse Now also showed it quite well. If you guys remember the movie when the Americans came in and started inoculating the folks there, and before they had left, they'd cut off all their inoculated arms. I know it's a fictional movie, but that's a really good example of the same sort of spirit
Uh,
of stubbornness and spitefulness and resistance that's innate to us. And they've got a long way to go before they're going to breed that out of us. But I think we can all recognize that over the last 3 years minimum, that sort of indoctrination to be more compliant, more willing, and more subservient has been fostered into the collective of humanity all over the place. What we can say,
heart
what
and
we can
soul.
think, right? Those are all signs to me that regardless of who's in charge, that they want that more than they want just numbers. Otherwise, they would have reduced our numbers by a lot more than we're doing now. It would be very easy to have reduced our numbers to a much more manageable number, like the 500. What was it,
Well,
500,000 or 500 million on the Georgia Guidestones? They got a long way to go to get to those kind of numbers. which I don't think they'll ever be able to accomplish without, massive warfare, plagues, or all of the above. Good for you, Tim. No war atrocities tonight.
Yeah, we're
No.
not going to get into that tonight. We
No,
can get into that. You know what? I would rather go on to a different show than do that, because I'm trying to guide us away from it. And here we are. Here we are. We all came together knowing all that this stuff is happening. And we're trying to, I want us to all meditate and manifest, because that is our power. That is what I say.
Oh yeah,
nice, nice. I'm not a drinker, but yeah. And Timothy, yeah, there are a few people I trust. If you can't trust anybody, what's the freaking point? You know what I mean? Unless you are a pay for every sort of service and requirement with no communications. That doesn't sound like a life I want to live. I'm going to trust a few people, but I was telling somebody just the other day, I don't trust anybody with everything. If you know what you can trust people with, that's about the best you're going to get. If you know someone's got a weakness, for alcohol, let's say, don't leave them, guarding your alcohol. If you know someone's got a weakness for this or that,
or don't wave it in front of them.
Right, because they're just going to grab it from you, or wait till you walk out of the room and then chug it and fill it with water and go, I don't know what happened. Know when and where and how you can trust people. Otherwise, you're not a people.
Just like the aliens.
Yeah, I can't trust them because I cannot buy into the fact that they can't tell us, even against our own governmental leaders' wishes. I don't buy that directive crap.
It's not governmental leaders. They are compliant. It's not governmental leaders. It's the elitists.
Oh.
I was getting into that earlier.
Well, yeah. Whoever's really in charge. The 6-7 people that actually run the planet. I don't care what they think, and the aliens shouldn't either. Okay, because again, they saw what happened last summer. They know what we can do.
They sold the bill of goods that they are in charge.
Yeah,
haven't they?
Right. I mean, it would be so easy for the good guy aliens to make themselves known beyond the shadow of a doubt and say, look, we're here, deal with it. The people, the collective group of humans need to understand and know what's going on. Time for, keeping it in the shadows and keeping it in the darkness and keeping it behind closed congressional doors. That time has to be gone. It's time for everybody to know the truth. Here it is, laid out on the table. You don't like it, you don't have to listen. You don't want to be part of it.
Disclosure.
Right, absolutely.
Right. Disclosure is personal.
They can do it, and they can make everybody know, and then decide what to do with the information later. And I'm pretty confident that when you look at recent polls over the last 10 years, 75% of the population, at least in this country, are totally okay and ready to be, informed on what's going on. Yes, there are aliens. They're real. What are you going to do about it? Probably not a damn thing. Go about their business. And not off themselves, and not freak out. The 25% that do, well, you know what? If they were too weak to handle truth, and that's what they decided to do with the remaining seconds of their lives, fine. We will lump them together in one mass grave, build a monument over it, and our children can understand. This is what happens.
We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that, right? We can bring them around. We can bring someone around.
I think that most people are fairly complacent about it, and I think that because they're mostly complacent about just about everything.
Oh, Joe is
and
you know what? You guys know me. I'm perfectly fine with that, and my heart tells me not to trust them because they haven't done anything to warrant trust. They have not done one thing to benefit us in the tens of thousands of years they've been watching us, supposedly, allegedly, whatever. They have not done one thing to make my life better or anybody else's life better that I know it. Even our good friend Keith, I don't see his life as having been better for the information. I think it may have harmed him to some extent by not being able to, share with everybody. If disclosure had come, 50 years ago, like it should have, or even longer ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. God knows what we'd be doing. We could actually collectively decide, hey, you know what? We want to work with you aliens. Okay. We want to, be part of the interstellar community. Let's work together. Yeah, sure. We're rough around the edges, but you know what? If we knew what was going on, I'm pretty sure we could, put together some schools and some institutions of higher learning to get, the best of the best of the best, sir.
I don't know about
toward the
that.
common goal.
We can't agree on common law in this country, let alone something that huge.
I think some of us could, enough of us could, to where the rest of humanity could then be taught by them, like in days of old, when the supposed gods would come down and teach the high priest, this is the way you're supposed to do things, and then that human told the rest of us monkeys what to do, and we did it, and things progressed to where we are now. I think if we all knew, we would find a way to persevere and benefit from it, and maybe even actually be a benefit to the other life forms that are out there in the cosmos, and get to meet them and interact with them on a more or less peaceful footing, as opposed to if we get out there some other way, we're going to revert to our previous inclinations of land, conquer, and use up all the resources and move on like locusts.
Okay, now hold up. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the colonialism idea. Right. It's spreaded. Not everyone has that idea. I'm talking now about the Inca, the Aztec, the American Indians. They don't have that idea.
Oh, they all did it.
Well, they all did it, but
the Europeans did pretty much.
Yeah, the Europeans.
They all did it.
Still have trouble with it.
Don't give me that. I know for a fact that the Aztecs conquered each other and raped each other, ate each other, which is just as bad as colonialization. The Native Americans were conquering and enslaving each other thousands of years before we ever met them. There's no race of humans that have ever been perfectly without the colonialist gene, if you will. We've all had it. We're all going to have it. And I suspect that the aliens have it too. I think it's just a matter of that's what life does.
Some of them. I will
even
say
plants do it. Even plants do it. If plants, have you ever seen what kudzu will do? It'll take over an entire continent if you don't hold it back, as would all the other life forms if not kept in check by other life forms. We've just risen to the food chain, and I don't see why we should believe that the ETs are immune to that same sort of natural.
I don't.
Maybe they've evolved past it. And if so, why are they even here? Why would they stretch out and explore and then go, oh, hey, look at this planet with all these life forms. We're just going to watch and not do anything. No, they're manipulating us. That is a form of colonialism.
Yeah, and Joe says, the Incas cut out the hearts of their enemies.
And then ate them.
By the thousands.
Yeah, and then ate them. That's nasty. Okay, everybody knows you're supposed to cook the heart over a slow heat. Sorry, that look was priceless.
Now, see, I have a whole different way of preparing it, but there we go.
What is this?
I like to wear it around my neck.
Yeah, but after about 3 days, the ants start getting a little out of control.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little stinky, too.
Sticky.
If you're watching your quantum, like and subscribe. Thanks for everybody coming in the chat. It's been a hell of a night, hell of a discussion, and it was totally random. So I have to quote the YouTube rules of please like and subscribe and follow the links in the chat. I highly recommend. They're all certified quantum by Certifiable Quantum Guy. Thank you, YouTube rules.
Are you on Rumble yet?
Yeah, I've been on Rumble. It just pipes over to Rumble.
Sorry.
I haven't gone on Rumble live yet, specifically only Rumble. This show will pipe over to Rumble.
I'm just kidding, Susan. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Susan. Don't take it out on Nathan. I'm the bad guy here.
Yeah,
What happened?
all
Who's
letters
Susan?
should be forwarded to Shadow and Son, and all hate mail in particular.
My PO box is none yet business.
Incendio, Arizona, right?
Hell,
El
Nebraska.
Segundo, California.
El Segundo. I'm in downtown Compton.
Oh, I wanted to bring this out. I said it in an email to you, but I wanted to tell you. I had a dream about you, Shadow, and I think it was Atlantean. I think it was. Check it out, Lynn. I haven't had a chance to tell you yet. I dreamed this like 3 days ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was the bad guy. I was the bad guy.
You were?
Well, no, see, it's not good guy, bad guy. But
well, I mean, I was doing stuff that's kind of
I
considered
was
bad guy
a
stuff.
technical person somewhere, and it wasn't a military installation, but it was kind of semi-futuristic, right? It was pretty futuristic, but it wasn't a military
aliens come down and uplift us. It doesn't have to be in the past. It could be the future. Because I told you, I'm only doing this once. Maybe it's 20 years from now.
Sure, man.
Hey, you show me some ancient hieroglyphs or some bas relief of my likeness, I'll buy it. But until then,
well, what makes you think you're gonna look like the same guy in every lifetime?
Why mess with
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
We can't all be Keanu Reeves.
Seriously.
Just saying, I would. How would I recognize myself if it wasn't the same?
Okay, well, check it out. Check it out. Here was the dream.
Stare in the mirror.
Okay, well, I was working, and it was like infrastructure stuff, and I'm pretty sure Frank was in there, but not in this frame, so to speak, right? But it made me think of Frank, and I was working, and I was kind of in charge, and I wasn't even in an important place. I was in
sure you were. Don't play it down.
Well, I mean, I was like in charge of not like the electric company, but like a pole. I was in charge of like a pole over here. So I was in charge of a small office, and I don't know what it had to do with. Maybe some kind of infrastructure. It might have been transportation or power or something. I don't know. But it
interplanetary exploration. That was
something.
There.
It was something like that. But it was a small office. It wasn't the big. I wasn't in charge of anything that mattered. Right?
Lost and found what?
Something. Yeah, exactly. You know, I was in charge of like making sure the plug stays in or something. You know. Or like Joe would put it, make sure these two things always don't change.
You were in charge of
don't add
the dilithium crystals and making sure they didn't crack. We got it.
Right.
Don't add this plug to that plug and go
right.
Like
just you're in charge of like I'm in charge of beats. I'm in charge of like, making sure the beats are packaged right. Cool. But I was doing my thing and I was doing whatever. And all of a sudden, Shadow, it was his likeness in my dream. Busted in, right? Busted in
see
on
that
me.
Really easy.
and it was like a rebellion. Okay. It was like a rebel cell doing some stuff. Right. And the group that he was with, right? The group that he was with shot a bunch of my coworkers, either dead or incapacitated.
More like
they were in the way, man.
Yeah, and apparently I was the target to control because after he did that, there was like one other partner here, one other person on my team, and it was her, right? That's no face, but it was a her, and let my partner stay alive. She was like, I just work here. I'm just a secretary or something. But she was kind of my assistant, I think, or she was almost as important as I am. And we started arguing. And I was, of course, at gunpoint, but the guns were not guns like we know them. right? The guns were semi-futuristic, and they were like energy pulse or some sort of
Like a taser.
disruptor or phaser, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not bullets. And
You know, I can rock a blaster when I have to.
I hear you. And okay, and like I remember the phrase that I used. I'm cooperating, but it's a fine line between cooperation and
Compliance.
well, no, not compliance, but collaboration.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It was a fine line, and you got angry at me because, and we all had, well, my team, right? We had these communication devices, and they were kind of like cell phones, but they kind of weren't cell phones that we know them as. And you allowed me to keep mine, though I wasn't communicating, and you appeared to be under some sort of orders to keep me alive and let me have communication in order to achieve whatever goal. And it just seemed like you were on protocol. You know what I mean? You were obeying some kind of written.
Still not like
Well,
me.
well, I'm not. This was not a terrorist hit, right? This was a
Sure?
we
Sure?
want this to happen hit. Yeah, we want this to happen. You didn't have a buttload of bricks sitting on the side, just conveniently there, put by no one in particular, right? Not like in, you know what I mean? It was coordinated and pinpointed. This was a crazy dream, and the fact that I can still remember it is like, wow.
And now it's immortal. It's forever on the internet. So when we look 20 years from now, you're going, see, I told you. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't know anything about it.
But it was like you were trying to achieve a certain goal, and it involved me staying alive, me staying in communication, and you were upset that I wasn't letting you, or you were restricted somehow about looking at my communications device and having to let me keep it. But that's when, after I said the collaboration thing, that's when I woke up, because you were getting frustrated and angry, and my partner was over here going, oh, God, not me. No, it's my turn now. Oh my God. But you apparently had a reason to keep her alive too. So there was.
Hey, I would never shoot you, brother.
I know. I mean, we emailed each other, Lynn, and we were like, okay, and texted. And we're like, this is not happening now.
No, it things like that memory, and it's very likely one. I've heard stories similar to it.
You know what's funny though? Because well, I'm not going to say why, but it's kind of similar to tonight's conversation, and there's
Very
some
similar.
parallels. You know, me busting in and shooting up the place, and making sure the broadcast keeps going and stuff. I'm just saying, because I was thinking about that when I was typing. I'm like, shit, man. This sounds kind of familiar.
Sure.
I honestly didn't think of that.
As far as the story that you just told, I've heard that story a couple of different versions over Atlantis.
Well,
and I think it was an Atlantis tale. I think it happened in Atlantis, and it was a small episode, not the big one that Frank talked about.
I don't think it was. Frank experienced something rather on the similar side, but
right.
Maybe it was me.
I don't think so.
No,
was this before we met?
I wasn't in that particular scenario. I was in a different one. But I was involved with Frank at that time.
Okay,
I'm sure I was.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Me shaving this. Are you kidding?
Oh,
you shaving? In what realm?
Yeah, it's just in all of the multiverse.
No, ain't happening. I don't care.
Oh well, in all the multiverse, I got long hair too. So
rocking that ponytail, brother. Long hairs for life. Yeah, not perked. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Don't keep him by himself there. Yeah,
He was talking about the
long one
mirror
too.
universe. There it is,
yeah.
the mirror universe.
And mine's
just-
about the middle of my shoulders these
Timothy,
days.
the absolute best of Star Trek. Out of all of Star Trek dumb, and I'm not a huge Trekkie, Mirror Universe, always the best episodes. Hands down. Always.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They are some of the best episodes I've ever watched.
Are we
yeah.
going into the recipe section? Let's hope
We
not.
haven't done the cooking section for the evening. I'm making
Let's talk
fudge.
about
I thought we already did the recipe section over certain
Thank you,
parts of the
Timothy. I
anatomy.
take that as
Well,
high
no,
praise.
human cuisine. We're going for human cuisine.
But Timothy, for the record, I do have a copy of the very first Star Trek role-playing game put out by Heritage Miniatures. Excuse me. So I do know a little bit of my Trek. I just never went in for Discovery, Voyager, or Deep
I
Space.
never was interested in it.
Enterprise
I love
was the
Star
second
Trek.
best in my opinion. And I'll die on that hill. I loved it until they killed off Trip, and then I was like, I'm done. But
yeah, that was
I understand that had
that was
things to do
that
with.
was a mistake of writing right there. So.
Well, they were supposed to have another season afterward where Trip was actually had just faked his death, but they got canceled. They said, "Oh well, I guess Trip's dead," which was because when in Star Trek history did the engineer actually be the star of the show?
Yeah.
Not to mention that gorgeous Vulcan he got to hook up with from time to time. I mean, every Trekkie's dream, right? But I couldn't. I rewatched Next Generation this last year. Oh man, I loved it when it first came out. I was all on board. Me and my buddies on the phone during the commercial breaks. Oh my God, did you see what the Borg just did? It was watching it with my grown up eyes and watching all of the woke stuff before woke was even a part of the lexicon. It was just like, oh my God, it was so cringy and so awful. Like, why? Why did I couldn't even remember it, thinking back, it's like, I don't remember this. I don't remember that. I don't remember. I did remember the speed limit of 55 miles an hour, whatever.
Warp 5.
Like right when they were trying to nationally impose the speed limit, I'm like, holy crap, how do we not see this coming? And that lasted for all of like a year. Yeah, but Star Trek had its moments, but
that's a writing technique called it is some, I forget what it's called, but it's stuff that happens in the background that they just kind of mention. I think it's called hang a lantern on it and highlight a detail that it's like, what?
Yeah, so it's something to get the zeitgeist of humanity on board with this concept, whatever that concept might have been. But this was, way back in the 80s, but it just shows you how far some of these agendas have gone back and have been, planned for,
oh man. Yeah,
decades.
I just finished watching Next Generation. The whole series. I just watched the whole series. I just went through it again. And yeah, all that stuff, they thought of everything that we're talking about. We're just having another spin on it.
Well, not to get political, but some of the things that are happening now, I know back in the 80s and the 90s, I was hearing about these plans that were going to be implemented. And sure enough, 2000s rolled around and we're right in the middle of everything they said was going to happen, worldwide, so to speak.
So much of that stuff was very prophetic.
Well, no, they were the powers that be were planning certain events politically. They've been planning these events well over 100 years ago. If you look into it, you'll find out what I'm talking about, or you already know.
Oh yeah.
Even the next couple of decades, they've scripted out, and they're going on that agenda. But people keep throwing wrenches into their plans. I don't know if you guys remember what they were saying was going to happen in September, and it never happened in September or October or November. And here we are, Christmas, and it still didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's because of some of the bigger YouTubers got it out into the ether
The
and said, hey,
rollout.
On the nose, buddy. And it didn't happen. Why? Because we stood up, just like we could stand up to just about anything we don't want to happen if we actually get the message out like we are here tonight and every Saturday night. If we
Or
it was
Thursday.
supposed to be Saturday night.
Yeah, I was wondering if we was going to get that. If we band together and think about things for a moment and think about them and not just use our emotions, we can get some amazing things done, folks.
Well,
we
I think we have to
just gotta
remember
think about it for a minute. And I'm going to mention the scariest words in the English language. Do your own research. Don't just take it from us.
Yeah.
If there's something you know
definitely
about,
look into it.
go and look. Hey, Bo, what's up? If I get some alien DNA, can I be like Spider-Man or the Lizard? Do you really want to be a lizard? I don't think so, Bo.
I think that'd be very unattractive. Anyway,
I think I could rock a tail.
You know, us doing
the white lab clothes and the purple pants.
Yeah,
come on, right?
Hey, it's working. It worked nicely. You know.
I there's only one Dillard's. It's like 200 miles from me. So getting the purple pants would be, a pain in the butt. You don't remember that? No. The Lizard, the Hulk, they all wore purple pants.
The whole spandex thing is.
It was funny too because he'd be wearing blue pants, as Banner, and then he'd turn into the Hulk and the pants turned purple. Nobody ever called him out on that.
I don't know. Would you want to call him out on it? I don't think I want that kind of.
Well, call out Stan Lee or whoever was in charge, at the time. But
no, I was going to say about doing this show on an odd day is not a bad idea. Once in a while,
yeah,
because we end up talking about stuff we generally don't cover on Saturday night.
Those are some of them, Bo, but the new ones or the newest ones, because hundreds of channels overnight were cried out and were suddenly silenced during the Great Purge of, what was it, 21 or 22?
21.
For stating those same words,
Mm-hmm.
Do your own research, which is we must be.
The do your own research.
That whole
yeah. I watched some really good
programs like this one. I mean, we saw all kinds of different shows just go boom.
And if for some reason, Nathan, you get booted for this, you know where to find me. Come, give me a couple of gut punches, and I'll take it like a man, and then bring you onto my show, and then we'll.
And I'll tell you that he did it too. I'll help. I'm being very supportive. He wants to take the blame.
Raven,
I want him to take the blame. It's all good by me.
You can't just leave me here by myself with these knuckleheads. Get your ass in here. Come on.
The link I sent you. I texted you.
You know what happened.
Hey, Raven.
Her cats came up and
probably deleted the whole damn thing.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back.
He's gonna go get coffee.
He might be.
Ooh. So what are you cooking this week? Anything special?
Myself?
Yeah, you. Yeah, you just no. Gremlin in the background.
What sort of cooking?
I don't know. Okay, baking. How's that? We'll stick to baking.
Okay.
Cookies.
Well, shortbread. Right now, orange rolls.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've got a roll of those in the fridge.
You know what? I kind of have this thing where we can't use eggs. And
Glad to hear it, Raven.
I can eat them myself. Family can. But certain members of our extended family can't. And so, we've had to get real creative about how we do,
you know,
Christmas baking.
Why no eggs?
Allergic.
Oh,
severely
that's
allergic.
that's
Then
that's
you,
awesome.
you add another family member can't have cinnamon or that sort of thing, cloves, and that
Is
kind
life
of
really worth
screws them.
living without eggs? I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for
Oh
them.
man, and you too, Bo, man.
Yeah,
But
and
Bo,
or,
Bo's
and then that extends to chicken. Cannot have any kind of fowl. Severely allergic to it. So
oh,
I mean, that's like 1/3 of my diet right there. Eggs and chicken. So, but it's been sort of a quest for me to create recipes and that sort of thing that they can have something, if not identical to what we would have in that recipe anyway, to something very similar. So that's kind of a adventures in chemistry. But
oh,
I've always enjoyed cooking and I understand it very well. And between Frank and I, we've managed to put together quite a list of things that we can do for this person. So, but it's hard because I mean I'm a big fan of like fried chicken.
I
you
had
know?
fried chicken yesterday.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
delicious.
that's the way to
It was
go.
absolutely stellar. Wow, I don't know.
Trying to do
You
cookies without eggs, man, that's difficult.
just make fudge.
Cake.
Just make fudge.
Well, that's candy, but
You know what? It's one of my 4 food groups. So
I like that myself.
if I don't have chocolate once a day, I turn
Something's
into a
off,
big
huh?
green ugly thing. It's
A
not pretty. Nobody
mean
wants to see that.
person.
I'm allergic to strawberries, so I haven't had a strawberry in like 50 years. I
Wow.
remember what they taste like, but
hmm It's just
I
not
can't. I
on.
can't do them. Can't
Yeah,
do them. And I
anaphylactic
don't know
shock.
though, because there was another thing I was allergic to, but I accidentally it was a medicine and I took it, and literally nothing bad happened whatsoever. So
Well,
I'm
that's
tempted,
good.
but the strawberries around the
One
boys
better.
here last about one day for a big old bushel of strawberries. That's like one day and they're gone.
Mm.
Um, so I just like
Well,
it's fine.
it's like my
So
son really enjoys uh stuff that's stuff like cherry preserves or things with red, right? He's allergic to red 40 though.
no,
And yeah, terrifically. You have to pry him off the ceiling. That's what that does to him. And if you think Nathan's fast on coffee, he's got nothing on John with the red 40. So I can't do the
how did they
red and
even
white
find that
Christmas
out?
stuff.
I mean, I remember the needle test for allergies when I was a kid. My
Yeah,
back
I
was a
had it.
freaking pincushion, for months as they were, testing all the different things,
Right.
And how do they narrow it down to red 40? That's like,
I discovered it accidentally. I noticed that he was acting very odd after eating certain things, but then I discovered that he loves that stuff that you may have in a Chinese restaurant where it's like a strawberry sauce on bananas.
no, I don't know what that is. I was
I,
thinking sweet and sour
I don't.
sauce.
It's well, I ignore it. It's like a strawberry sauce, and he got that, and seconds later he was a complete asshole.
As
And
Tasmanian, Joe says use Dr. Pepper in place of egg and chocolate
you
cake.
can. I usually don't. I usually use potato starch.
Hmm.
Then I hype it up with olive oil instead of vegetable oil. That moistens it, makes it very nice to eat. But that's come over time. And the Dr. Pepper, what that does is that uses the soda pop for the leavening agent. So
I used
that's
to
how
use,
they keep it
or I
lit.
should say, I used to make a barbecue sauce recipe that was mostly ketchup and Pepsi.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, yeah, I've heard that.
But I've never heard the Dr. Pepper in place of eggs. That's interesting, but we don't do sodas at the Shadow household. Um,
Well,
this,
that's one way to do it. My way is uh, potato starch whipped up into a meringue and folded into cake mix. It's very simple. But that took time to learn how to do. It really did.
I've never even seen it in the grocery aisle, so okay.
Or potato starch?
Never seen it. Good night,
Well,
Bo. I will see you tomorrow, brother.
in the old days, what they would do is boil potatoes and skim it. You know how it has a foam on the top when you're boiling
No,
potatoes.
I've never boiled a potato
That's
in my life.
Well,
Never boiled a potato.
You boil potatoes and you skim off the starch.
Kind of like when you boil eggs and there's that white stuff on top sometimes.
Yeah, and eggs, that's more of a sulfur.
Well, if I see any lizard people, I will be mounting them to the hood of my car, taking them to the center of town.
I had to get coffee. Make a trophy out of them, are you?
Well, I don't know what the authorities are going to do. I'm just going to drive in the middle of town, honking my horn all the way, and showing everybody.
The hell out of them, huh?
Well, not the lizard. The lizard guy would be dead, but show everybody else in town, hey, they exist.
Here it is.
Here's your first lizard people.
Huh? You left us unsupervised.
We're talking about lizard people. I see.
yeah, we were talking about lizard people.
We're talking about recipes. We're talking about avoiding eggs and recipes.
We were talking about lizard people.
All right.
Personally, I just, I used to use potato starch that I would make myself, but I found a granulated version of it, so I use that.
Hey, where's Raven?
I don't know.
She's arm wrestling a cat, and the cat's winning.
They ganged up on her.
I'm going to get with Raven.
To figure out.
I'm going to get with Raven to fix that desktop she has. Because I'm on a roll. I got the desktop here working. I got that one almost working. I got my tablet working. And I feel like I'm on a roll. So I want to get her going.
Now, Joseph says to watch out for criminal goldfish wearing foil hats.
That is one of the more interesting names I've heard this week. That's clever as hell.
Criminal goldfish?
Yeah, I haven't watched today's Y-Files because I'm hanging out with you fine folks. But rest assured, I'll watch it tomorrow.
Man. Oh yeah, that show is really coming along. That's
what happens when you get sponsored by
the video game. Yeah, I saw him sponsoring some online gaming.
I didn't mean that kind of sponsoring.
What sponsoring are you talking about?
The big guys, when the big guys promote something, like I was saying earlier, the show's wonderful, but I know what it's doing. It's doing the same thing Star Trek and Close Encounters and all those other things did, was to guide us, collectively as a people to believe or, think a certain way through that sort of, subliminal sort of messaging. It's not all that subliminal, but the premise is still the same. Get millions of people to watch this guy debunk all the things that we have different opinions on. Let's just say that when he started doing certain things, I was like, oh, okay, he sounds like he's one of us, but then at the end of the show he just craps on it with the most flimsy of debunking techniques I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at I've been looking at the way he's been doing things, and he is leaving a lot of the stuff open-ended. Like
recently, yeah, because he heard me calling him out.
I
Yeah,
need
and
to,
he heard me calling him out too. I said,
Nathan.
this show is
I am.
Nathan, I need to duck out of here for about a minute, so I'll be right back.
okay.
All right.
All that talk of fudge, she's gonna go grab a snack.
I didn't hear anything about fudge. Now I want fudge.
Yeah, you know what?
But,
I was getting really upset because every year I buy this kit from Walmart. It's everything you need to make fudge. It's got the condensed milk, the marshmallows, the sugar, the chocolate. It's all there, pre-measured out. To make a 8x8 whatever pan of fudge. And I went to my store looking for it for as soon as they brought out the Christmas decorations and Christmas stuff, I'm like, okay, where's the fudge? Where's the fudge? Didn't have it at my Walmart. Went to this other Walmart that I hate, and I'll get into that in just a second, and I'll make it quick. They had it, and I'm like, oh, I'm grabbing two. Boom. But the reason why I hate this Walmart is because it's in not a nice part of town, and I went in there, and I needed just a regular bottle of dish soap, right? Just like the $2 bottle of dish soap. Not only was it locked up behind plexiglass, so was all the laundry soap. Nothing else in the grocery section was behind plexiglass, but the dish soap and the laundry soap had to be freaking behind, Yeah, it's a microwave. Well, it's not necessarily a microwave recipe, but it can be microwave. But it was all locked behind these plexiglass doors. You want a bottle of soap, got to ring the bell. Someone will come, unlock it, and then walk it up to the register for fear of you walking out with a freaking gallon-sized bottle of Tide or whatever. I'm like, do you have a sudden rash of people stealing this product?
You know what? When I was working at Dollar General, and I was stock manager, right? Assistant stock manager, something BS made up title to give me a key, right? And I found out that there is a black market for laundry detergent. We had people stealing it. We had people finagling, stealing cases of it off the truck, and we would be short, right? But there was people that would come in there, and you know how the bottle has like this much space in the bottom of it or in the top of it where it's empty? They would go in and they would fill up the bottle and leave that much empty from the thing. And I was like, what is going on here? There is a black market underground for laundry detergent.
I can't picture it being used in making meth or something like that, but I could just see how expensive it's gotten.
Right.
It's
exactly.
in the grocery aisle. The next thing's going to be the maple syrup or actual meat, and I've seen meat locked up. Not here, but I'm just like, is this like the new toilet paper in case the apocalypse? They're going to start locking up.
That has happened here. They not my store, but one of the local stores. They have to lock their meat up because people keep stealing it.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
And I'm like, people, how bad does it have to be for you who live in an agricultural area? If I wanted steak, I could go to my neighbor and say, hey, what do you want me to do? I want to get some steak. I do this, and that. Would you like me to trade you? Which I think we should be doing that anyway. We don't need to be worrying about, federal regulated foods because that's not really working out too well, is it?
It's crazy. It's just.
Well, you used to be able to drink raw milk if you wanted it, or raw honey for that matter.
Yeah, you can't buy that stuff now. And even at the farmer's market, out in the woods in the country, the FDA is going out there and messing with people selling fresh meat, fresh milk, fresh eggs.
We've got a farmer's market not too far off, but the price is 3 times the regular price. I'm not.
It's not very cost effective to the average.
No, it's not. It's what? It's eggs. I'm gonna eat them. Sorry about that. I could do nothing about that. Wow.
No, don't worry about it.
And Monty, for the record, that may be the case, but I know that I didn't get the thing last couple of years, and I should have got the thing, but I'm a smoker, and I mean, I literally should have got it. It was in my house.
Yep.
Twice.
Same.
It didn't get it. Didn't wear a mask. Didn't get the thing in my arm. None of that. And of all the people I know, I should have got it. And I probably should have got it really bad. And I didn't. And the only thing I did differently than everybody else in my house was smoking and taking apple cider vinegar pills one a day. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't the apple cider. Yeah, I take those too.
We actually got it before they announced the pandemic. We knew we'd had it.
Actually, there was one other thing I did take, but that was only when it was actually in my house. I'll have to get the name of it because it was like someone recommended it. You know, one of the bigger channels recommended this thing, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And you know, maybe it was that, but I mean, I was literally going to 3 stores every Saturday, 3 or 4 different stores every Saturday, no mask, no thing in the arm, and no worries, you know.
Yeah.
So
no, we didn't have it bad, but you know, I used to do a lot of taking care of people. We'll just put it that way.
So maybe you developed a little bit of
I got a little bit of an immune thing going,
right?
You know, where I just don't catch anything. But I caught this, and it was the worst thing I had ever experienced. And
$5 a dozen.
The difference was we're coffee drinkers. We all take a pretty big amount of vitamin D. And Frank smokes, and so does the ex. So does my son. You know, they had it less bad than, say, me or CR.
I remember one particular show. I'm not going to mention it here, but I watch it every morning because it's on every morning, Monday through Friday. And they were talking about that, you know, how there was a study or something, you know, that smokers were being less affected by it, and when they were affected by it, it was limited. And I'm like, that's all I need to hear, you know.
And we just literally gargle with coffee. I mean, honest to God,
no coffee, no caffeine,
and
none of that stuff.
You know, the heat is what I'm referring to, though, and tea. Now, one of the things that I was going to mention with the homegrown eggs. There's a farmer near here who has pecan groves, and he sent some eggs for us, and those were the nicest eggs I've had in years. And these hens were free range hens. You know, they eat everything. They'll kill a mouse. They'll go for it.
I've never had.
Oh, they're little. They're just
they'll eat everything.
Tiny little feathered dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
They're velociraptors miniaturized.
Yeah.
No wonder they taste so good.
If you've ever made a rooster mad at you, you don't want to do it again.
Right. But Monty, Monty's talking. We don't keep eggs in the fridge either. This is an older comment from a few minutes ago. I found out why that non-US eggs don't need refrigeration. On the shell, when they are organic or not even or just not processed,
chicken goop on them.
Right, not processed. There is a membrane around there that protects the shell. The shell is porous, right? But we wash the eggs in some kind of chemical wash, right? That strips that away.
It's like a bleach water.
Right.
You know,
I heard about that, Luna.
I got these eggs. They're organic, you know, and these hens feed off of pecan grit. But those are the nicest eggs I think I've eaten in years. But you know, with home done eggs, it's always a good idea to test them before you use them. Because if you get a rotten one, oh boy, they're gonna smell. But you simply drop them in water, they float, they're okay. So If they go
Yeah,
straight
we
to the
got
bottom, you don't want them.
right.
Really,
That's
all of mine go
that's
straight to the
okay.
bottom when I boil them.
When you boil
Well,
them, yes, they're going to
that's
do
not
that. I'm
that's
talking
not
about
what.
simple cold water.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
I
That's
wouldn't
just
know
just
to
about that.
test.
we'll
Just
And,
to
and
we'll
test
check
with
it
them.
out. Check it out. Yeah. And I would love. I need to get in with the farmers. I am on the edge of town. I want to hook up with those farmers and see how I can help them out. You know,
Offer
because I
computer
want to be helped
services.
out in return.
Yeah,
Hmm?
offer 'em computer services.
Right.
That's what you
Computer
do
services.
best.
I'll hook up their internet. I'll hook up their phone lines if they have them. Their
Well, a lot of
cable.
times they'll
I'll
have some of the older stuff, even just doing some of their work around the farm. They'll have a computer that needs worked on hither and yon, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So,
I'm still waiting to find that guy that's running Apple II. I want to meet that guy and shake his hand. But
oh, we lost Shadow.
yeah,
Or
no,
did
right,
I'm
because
here.
they
I'm just
lunar
moving.
just needed to
they
drop
weren't
out.
processed in the kind of facility that our FDA insists on doing. They
Yeah.
wash them and then they have to be refrigerated. They don't, and because that wash takes away that outside thin skin that
Mhm.
preserves the eggs, and
But
plus,
they insist on it, and of course, and I think they call it a kind of pasteurization. But the
I don't know what it
I've
is,
seen
but
I've seen how they grade them and do it at a chicken farm. How they at least how they used to,
yeah,
grade the egg and pack it and get it ready for sale. And at the time that I washed, of course, was all by hand. It's not
hmm
the extreme,
the hot
the
bleach
extreme.
water,
Well, all the rest of it,
yeah, all that
But
weird.
it was
Oh,
my friend had
something
a
else. Yeah, something
father
else. They
farmer.
put all of this food under ultraviolet light,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not so great. Okay, that they put a bunch of
Nope.
foods under ultraviolet light, and I'm like, what is the? They have some kind of long drawn out reasons for doing this
Yeah,
stuff, and it
that it
is not.
supposedly
It's
kills the bacteria.
well,
That's the big thing.
if they didn't mess with it in the first place, it's one of the perfect foods.
Yeah.
Eggs, one of the perfect foods, and you don't have to do anything to it except breed it. Okay.
Yeah.
This
That's
coffee's
right.
going straight to my head. Oh yeah, hell yeah. This
Have
is
some
the
more.
healing potion coffee. You know what? Speaking of medical and health wise and stuff like that, I went to a doctor's appointment and she told me, don't eat honey, don't have creamer. And I think she thought I was guzzling it. I am not. This has 1 teaspoon of honey in it. And it's all the honey I've had today.
A
She says
teaspoon
it's
is
bad.
nothing.
A teaspoon is
There's 4
the good
calories in it.
outweighs the bad. And I told her, she yells at me, right? I told her, don't even get me started on the dark chocolate.
You know, they have a program that they have to follow,
Yeah.
particularly if they are involved in a hospital.
Oh yeah.
And it's
They have
getting a
to.
lot worse.
Yeah, they told me she sent me. I've got an appointment for a nutritionist, and I'm like, oh, here comes the propaganda, you know.
Oh, those guys know less than nothing.
Yeah, and
Sorry
I'm
for
like,
anybody who's a
okay,
nutritionist, but I'm telling you.
they're gonna yell at me for all the turmeric and all the cinnamon and all the honey, and
Why
I'm
did
like,
she refer
oh,
you to a nutritionist?
I really don't know because I talk about supplements to my doctor, and I have emailed her a list of the stuff I take, and it's like all the weird stuff that she's
Oh, so
worried
she
about.
figures that you're being programmed and she's going to help you with that, huh?
I guess I do like cranberries and mushroom gummies and CBD gummies and a
Hmm.
ton of cinnamon and shilajit and all the stuff that's good for you, right? Under normal circumstances.
It depends on how this is like anything else. You can overdo it. You can.
Right. Oh yeah, and I'm not
So,
overdoing it. I mean, 2 teaspoons of honey a day. I don't think that's overdoing it.
sorry.
And
Even a diabetic can get away with that.
yeah, and okay, observe me, okay? See me, right? I'm not taking my shirt off. Don't worry,
Aw,
YouTube community
boy,
standards.
I'll tell you, all that advertising and no come across. What the hell?
But all my medical staff who are assigned to me think I'm a fat, sitting around watching TV and eating candy person. And I'm like, where are you getting your information from? I walk miles a day at work and I barely have any food in here and none of it's junk food. And I'm like,
Nathan, how tall are you?
5'7",
How heavy?
177.
177.
Yeah, that's
I'm
170.
sorry.
Take
They're
away
full of
5,
shit.
172. Yeah, 172 because I was clothed and
Ooh,
shoes and stuff.
oh.
And I had my
know-
flashlight and Leatherman in my pocket.
Ah,
So
you know,
5 pounds.
they have no clue. They're
Yeah, and
measuring gravity. You know.
oh,
You know what my doctor told me? I said, "Do I need to lose a few pounds?" And hey, I probably could. He says, He goes, "You know who survives in a hospital situation in a crisis?" He goes, "A plumpy's gonna survive best longer than a skinny is." How
Well,
about
yeah,
that?
that's because hospital food is crap.
I'm sorry, what?
That's because hospital food is crap.
Well, yeah, I would never survive on that for a week. And that's if they feed you. Oh, I could go on and on about this subject. You don't want to go there with me.
yeah. I don't know, Monty. I don't know what that is in kilograms. I don't know what that is in metric. I don't know. 172 pounds. You know what?
Don't you
I'll
divide it
Google
by 2.2? Isn't that the formula?
I don't
Divide by
remember. If
I know
Frank
how to
was
do this.
here, I could have told him.
Hey, Siri, what is 172 pounds in kilograms?
Ooh, we're getting
The
fancy
answer is 70.
here.
The answer is 78.02 kilograms. Siri,
There
thank
you
you.
What? Did you just thank your listening device?
Yes, I did. I am not going to be one. I am not going to end up lubricant. I will be on the good side. Spare this human. He said thank you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't know that hilarious is the word that I would use, but
You
okay.
have Siri, I have Frank. What can I say?
If they want to turn me into glue or oil when I'm done with this meat suit, be my guest.
Oh, I don't believe there's going to be a robot takeover, but if there is, I want to be on their good side. I've got a whole room full of robotics that I love, and I'd be nice.
Yeah, but they may look at you as like a necromancer, as opposed
I'm
to
nice to my schnauzer too, but I think I'd be a
look.
first on
He's
the
got
list.
I like
robot
to think of
skulls
this
and robot
perception.
arms.
I prefer to think I'm being perceived like this.
No, I'm nice to my schnauzer too, but I think I'd be first on his list if something went bad here and he ended up eating me.
Lunar, I gotta say, you've been very vocal, and I really love it. I really love it that you've been very vocal tonight.
Yeah, it's been great.
Okay, well, y'all, I've got to wake up in the morning, so I've got to. It's we're 2.5 hours, and I was hoping Raven would come in.
She's not feeling well, and
Oh,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she talked to me
While
earlier.
we're talking, Raven's Rabbit Hole on Wednesday nights, and I'm her guest this next Wednesday.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah, we
going
had
to
an
talk
Link is in
about
the description.
solstice, and I
Yeah.
don't have a link to that. That's
Uh,
a Facebook stream.
I have a link to it in the description.
Yeah, there you go.
It's there.
So that's Wednesday, I think at 8 Central Time.
Hmm. And shadow shows are all through the week. Go see them.
Right.
Appreciate
And
it.
link is in the description. Link is in the description of every show.
If you're a gamer or a prepper, we got something for you.
Yeah.
A gamer or a what?
Prepper.
Okay, I was for he said stripper.
No.
That's this show.
I gave that.
That's
up.
me on this show.
Got me through college, and that was good.
Hey, you know what? I can say I was in Colorado stripping for 3 months. But it was like this. It was like
wires, right?
I was that kind. I wasn't the kind of stripper everybody wants me to be. I was the kind of stripper where you
I couldn't even get you to take your shirt off on this show. What do you mean?
Hey, that's at least $20 from what I hear.
But yeah, I got to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, Tim. Like and subscribe. If you're here, you're quantum. And check me out on all the socials, some of the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I am present on Instagram, but just not so much, right? And I don't know, I'm trying to make stickers similar to Amy's, and I'm not gonna order them. I'm gonna make them myself.
Oh,
because
cool.
I got plastic, I got paper, I got printer. Paper's on the way.
Hey, Derek, I didn't know you were here, buddy.
So I want just my YouTube logo on a sticker, all low res and 28 frames per second, because we're holding steady at 28 frames per second. Let me tell you. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming by.
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. And I'm
be sure to like and subscribe. And
yes, please.
Thank everybody in chat, because without you, we don't have a show.
Right. This is your show. This is your show. Well, I'm with Amy on this one. This is an interactive show. We value our feedback. We want to hear from the people. And Simon Fly, if you ever want to come on, let me know. Simon Fly, he's a skeptic. I love skeptics.
Okay.
I love the skeptics. Okay. And
being a skeptic.
And
catch
everybody
you next week.
Yep. Catch you next week.
Everybody.
The next show will be announced in advance. This is the Saturday show in advance. The previously to Saturday show, because
so you've all become honorary time travelers.
Yes. I might. I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and start doing what?
Pushing buttons. Pushing buttons.
Yep. Got to push the buttons. Okay, everybody.
Good night,
y'all
folks.
have a great rest of the weekend.
Happy trips.